What is going on, Coffee Nation? In this video, we're going to be talking about the builds I used in my 5-man run, which was a DLC run where I was only allowed to use 5 units deployed at any given time. Earlier on, I had the condition that if there were units on the map, I couldn't deploy, like the total number of units I could control is 5, but then midway through, I changed it so that I could deploy my actual team and then just park those other units in a corner. But these are the builds I used, and I'm also going to talk about the weapons. So the first build is an Edelgard build where you get sword power and speed taker so that you have ungodly speed, and you also have sword power for ungodly damage. You can go for the Raging Storm opening to either kill or almost kill an enemy and then one-round things. Then I have 2 weapons that I one-round with typically. I use the Hero's Sword. This could also be a steel sword. It'd have similar stats. Or a silver sword. It would have similar stats. I use this with the Emblem of Beginnings, as well as the Brave Sword +5 with Tiki for huge damage. When you quad with Tiki engraving, that's +8 damage just from Tiki. And then with sword power, that's +40 damage before actual damage calculations begin. So this thing typically kills enemies in 2 hits pretty consistently, whereas this hero's weapon will generally one-round enemies, but it doesn't kill them before they counterattack, whereas this can frequently. So I ended up using the Brave Sword a lot. But this is a better general purpose weapon, whereas this is a better, like, you know, health bar deletion tool, especially against bosses. I also had an Armor Slayer +4 just for one-rounding enemy armors, and when combined with sword power, you're looking at +20 damage, and I believe that's effective damage as well. So you just melt armor. So that's that build. Then we have Chloe. Now also note that Alir did have Star Sphere up until the end game, and then I bought Speed Taker. So I had Star Sphere until like chapter 21, 22. And then Chloe, she also was on Tiki the entire time, so she had Star Sphere the entire game. She had Lance Power, and I got her Speed +5, and that's all she ever needed. As for weapons, she would occasionally kill things with the Javelin, or enemy phase like mages with the Javelin. She also has a Flame Lance for melting armor. The Lance Power gives you +10 damage on all of your lances, so you're +20 damage when attacking anything. So you combine that with targeting res. I did feed her, I think, 2 Spirit Dusts, because she's one of my damage carries. So she ended up being able to hit pretty hard, even though she's on Wyvern with Flame Lance. She generally one-rounds with the hero's weapon. This could be a steel or a silver lance. The hero's weapon is slightly better than steel and slightly worse than silver, so a silver lance would be comparable here. It would just be a little bit more expensive to +5 it. And then we have Rider's Bane with Byleth for accurately hitting the Wolf Knights, and when you combine that with Lance Power, you're one-shotting Wolf Knights pretty easily, and she even doubles with this. Like, her speed is actually increased, funny enough. She's on a Flame Lance right now, so she would be 43 speed on Rider's Bane. But she was a hard carry. She could pop Dragon Form if she's under pressure, but she actually did more damage off Dragon Form, and you get a lot of health, some defense from being on Tiki. Then we have Tymera. This Brionac I just made as part of a guide. I didn't actually use this. But the main thing here is you have Ike for damage mitigation. You have defense +5, so she has pretty high defense. She has high enough defense where things, when they hit her, don't deal that much damage. She has high enough speed where she doesn't get doubled. She is on strength and dex +5 to boost her base damage as well as boost her dex. So she has pretty good damage output without Sandstorm. I could have given her Lance Power, but I gave her Speed Taker instead so she can stack speed and consistently double. With Wrath, she would enemy phase some crits occasionally, even on like a Javelin. Her weapons, her main weapon was the Well Lance, +4 with Edelgard. It has pretty good damage output, very accurate, some crit rate. So she would have passive crit rate if she was using this, but she mostly enemy phased with a basic Javelin +4. Very cheap to upgrade. This will one round enemy archers. This will one-round enemy mages. She can tank those mages because she actually has 23 res, and then you factor in that she doesn't get doubled and that she halves damage on Ike, and you also factor in the Sandstorm and the crits, and she is consistently one-rounding things on enemy phase. She also has an Ike Rider's Bane to super poke enemy Wolf Knights and just one-shot them, and that's really the only use case. But this was her build. Ignore the Brionac. And then we have Fram. So Fram actually popped off. The Avoid plus 20 was nice just for stacking with shielding art. So you're looking at crazy base Avoid. And then when you combine in dual support, even when she doesn't have shielding art equipped, when she has Flashing Fist with dual support, she can hit really high avoid rates while player phase nuking. And on Flashing Fist with Lunar Brace Plus, she was able to one-round most enemies, including bosses. She would take a health bar off, and then when she isn't one-rounding things, she's unhittable with shielding art. The avoid stacking is just ridiculous with dual support. So she can become unhittable. She can also pull a bow out and shoot dudes down. She was a Lucina bonded shield user. But she could shoot down enemy flyers. She could also smack dragons. She could hit armor if she needed to. So she actually had some utility here. She had Star Sphere. Everyone had Star Sphere for most of the run. And then we finally have Saline. Speed / Dex plus 5. This is to fix her speed, because she has speed issues. And it's to give her higher Dex for triggering Ignis, which is based off of Dex. And just gives you extra damage, so it's pretty nice to have. She did have Tome Precision randomly. I don't really know why. I don't know why I gave her Tome Precision. I should have given her like magic or something. I think I just gave this to her as a joke, just to like goof off. But she shouldn't have Tome Precision. It's kind of a waste. She should have like anything but that. But she ran Bolganone. Oh yeah, for Fram's Flashing Fist, she has it's a brave weapon, so I put the damage boosting engraving. I can't remember the name of it, but it's the diamond one there. Boost damage similar to the Tiki. I think it's Soren's. And then Bolganone plus 4. Now, arguably what I should have done is I should have given her 11 sword and gotten her sword power, because that boosts the damage of the 11 sword, and she would have been crazy. But for the most part, she did just have speed and dex plus 5, and then she was running the Star Sphere. So I think I just ran this just to give her some extra hit for the late game chapters. Her hit rate's okay, so she doesn't really need the hit and avoid. But these are the builds. These are the emblem rings. For the chapters where you lose emblem rings, it was just easier because I have emblem rings now. So I just had access to things that I shouldn't. I think you should lose the DLC emblem rings during those chapters personally. But these are the builds. Overall, the run kind of shed some light on some things. It seems to be the case that if you run fewer units, the DLC is like a joke. If you run a full team, it seems to be harder. If you do the things later, it's harder. Like if you do the Divine Paralogs later on and you evenly invest in your units, that's what seems to produce the high stat units that people have trouble dealing with. But if you do low man, it's like super easy for some reason. It's like very easy, because none of your other units level up, and it seems to use an average of all of your units. One thing I am curious about is if you let a bunch of units die. So like, for example, if I let Hortensia die that I'm not using, and all the higher level units, like whoever's high level, to have them die, so it reduces the average level of your team. Some people say it goes by the chapter you do it. So if you have overpowered units, it'll just be really easy. But overall, it was the easiest run I've done on Maddening so far. The DLC stuff drastically changed everything. It was kind of fun, but there were definitely a lot of moments where I'm just like, all right, this is way too easy. This is like too broken. Like between the DLC and the well, like just the fact that I can get speed and dex plus 5 and strength and dex. I think those cost 8k SP. Those are very expensive, or at least the strength dex one does. Like lance power, sword power, those are with 5k. Lunar brace plus, that's 5k. So pretty expensive abilities. This is a pretty crazy ability. This enables quadding in a way that's ridiculous. But yeah, that's it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you enjoy these like breakdown type videos. I'm still going to be doing guides and let's plays, so there's going to be a lot of content coming. But yeah, definitely like and subscribe. feel free to drop a comment, and I'll see you next one.